Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon. And today we are going to have this week's updates. I know it's a short week, 3-day week, but I do have some updates for us. And then we're going to get into my weekend predictions. It's rivalry week in the college football world. It's Thanksgiving week for the NFL. So we have football on every single day starting tomorrow. So I wanted to get out in front of it, release my predictions on these games. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. But before that, we got to hit the like. But I ask that you hit the like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. It would mean so much. Thank you very much. And let's get into the weekend updates. College football. It's rivalry week, man. And I did my research. So every rivalry that I'm going to predict, I got a little background information. So we're going to start with the updates, though. Let's see. Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. It's 12 ABC Friday. The decision Kiffin is making is coming the day after. There's going to be a press conference, I believe. And Lane Kiffin will decide whether he's going to stay at Ole Miss, whether he's going to move on to another school. The top candidate, I think I've heard a lot, is LSU. And there have been some rumors that maybe Kiffin is leaning more towards LSU. That's why he wants to have the big press conference, hasn't spoken to the media. And reports have come out that his family even doesn't know where he's going with this decision. High chance he goes to LSU, and it'd be just a massive choice because if he decides to go to LSU, it's a lose-lose for both schools because if he decides to go to LSU, Ole Miss, do you kick Lane out? Does Lane leave? And now you're in a tight position for the college football playoff, or does I'm trying to think, or does if he stays at Ole Miss, now LSU, all the players that are at LSU can't transfer when the portal opens up in at the beginning of December. So it is really tight, and there has to be some sort of system that can correct this. Now, I was watching Game Day last week, and I like the idea proposed by Nick Saban. Saban says that college football, what you should have is you should have the season end. You should have coaches leave their schools, go to new programs, do this and do that. Then, once that happens, you can have players hit the portal, right? Players transferring in and out, that'd be like early January, right? Moving into the spring, you have OTAs, practices, spring games, and the summertime moving closer and closer to the season. That's how the NFL works it out. That's how it would work out for college football if that's the way that this would go. But instead, you have to fit the football calendar with the academic calendar, and those two just don't add up. So, there's a solution where we can make the playoffs smaller. We can make the season start earlier in the season. We can make the season shorter so that this window that we have can work in early December or to the middle of December, or we can extend it, move it backwards to where you have the portal in the middle of January, and then you push the rest of the stuff back. So, yeah. By the way, the portal opens up December 2nd. It closes December 17th, which means, LSU, they don't get a coach. That means the players can't transfer out until the new coach arrives, which means, LSU, if you want to transfer out and Lane Kiffin decides to not go to LSU, then that's a tough situation. Okay, moving on. But now we've got some more news for more particularly the games that are going on. One for Friday, one for Saturday. Elijah Surratt, Mikhail Kamara, both coming back Friday afternoon, or I guess it's a night game, Friday night for the Purdue-Indiana game. Huge news for IU. They've been playing without Elijah Surratt for the last couple of games. Hasn't worked out in their favor, or they've all worked out in their favor, but this is a rivalry game, and so what you need the most, or what Purdue needed the least, was these two guys. Was these two superstars on that IU team coming back. Really doesn't help their case. And then this might be the most important news of the day. Now, it's been the talk of the town, College Game Day, Michigan versus Ohio State, the game. We're going to talk about it later on. But reports have come out, and Ryan Day himself has said Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. I believe it was a Tuesday yesterday that that Ryan Day came out and said Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are questionable, or they're trending in the right direction to play on Saturday. I find that news interesting because he didn't confirm that they're going to go. He didn't deny it, which means I think that both players are going to be a game-time decision. Carnell Tate's missed the last couple of weeks. Jeremiah Smith didn't play last week. But that's huge because that is basically the entire receiving corps for Ohio State. Huge, huge news for the Buckeyes. And then in the NFL, Jaden Daniels is coming back. He will practice. He's been practicing this week. Long shot to come back this week. But he's long shot to come back this Sunday. A good chance he comes back next week. The same thing stands for Joe Burrow. Now, this is where I voice my opinion. Why play them? It's not like the Commanders are shooting for a playoff spot anyways. Your defense has been letting you down week after week. Your offense has been somewhat inconsistent. So I really don't see a point in playing Jaden Daniels on the Commanders. Now, with the Bengals, you already have 8 losses. You're not winning the division. Long shot to make the playoffs, because you have teams like Kansas City and Buffalo who are in that wild card range. So it doesn't make real sense to have Joe Burrow come back, risk another injury. And, I mean, your season's not looking like it's going to be good. So I would just rest Burrow. I don't want to, but there's no other way to say it. So I'm just going to say tank and try to get a high draft pick so that you can get a Reuben Bay and a Sonny Styles, a Caleb Downs early in the first round of the draft. Not looking good in Cincinnati. And then the final thing I wanted to say, Shedeur Sanders, sure if you haven't heard, is going to stay QB1 in Cleveland despite Dalen Gabriel being cleared from protocol. This is Kevin Stefanski's worst fear because he just, I guess, did not want Shedeur Sanders to be the starting quarterback. I guess he assumes that, his job is gone because Shedeur Sanders has found success. But I'm not giving it to him yet. I say hold on. You played the Raiders last week, and although he did play good, played like he did in college, right? He played decent, but it's the Raiders defense. That defense has kind of got a couple holes in it. I think the Niners defense is where you make your statement. You want to prove that you're the quarterback of the future? Prove it against the Niners. Prove it against these good teams, this good competition coming to your place, because San Francisco's going to Cleveland on Sunday. So there's that. And with Kevin Stefanski, I think he was a little scared, and I've heard Unk and Ocho talking about this, how they thought Shedeur Sanders was going to, because if Shedeur got the start, Kevin Stefanski would lose his job to Deion Sanders. I don't think that. I think that's highly unrealistic. I think Deion's going to stay at Colorado. I think he likes it there. I think Deion likes Colorado, and I think Colorado likes Deion. So there's going to be no movement there. And I doubt Deion would come back to coach a team that he didn't play for. There's that. The other thing is, I think you got fired anyway. The way you've disrespected Shedeur Sanders in the media, talking about, I don't know who the quarterback 2 is. I don't really feel like starting him. But I think about it, and this is the guy that's seen him in practice day to day. Each week, he's seen Shedeur Sanders. And now that he's played good, the question is, you didn't see that in practice? So, yeah. Unfortunately, Kevin Stefanski, I doubt his job is safe. But those are your weekend updates. Coming up next is my predictions. Starting, believe it or not, we're going to start with the college ones. SEC is just taking over Black Friday because that is when the best games are. You got the Egg Bowl on Friday. You got the first game that we got 2 games that I'm going to break down. Limited Big Ten action, Indiana and Purdue, Nebraska, Iowa, but Big Ten really takes over on the Saturday. SEC kind of has the Friday. So Black Friday game, clean, old-fashioned hate between Georgia and Georgia Tech. This game will be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In case you didn't know that, Georgia, the rankings came out last night. That's why I kind of wanted to hold off. But Georgia's the 4th-ranked team in the country, and Georgia Tech is the 24th. It'll be the 119th meeting between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia leads the all-time series, 72, 41, and 5. Georgia's won the last 7 meetings with the Yellow Jackets. This would be the first one in a while that's played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Dogs are favored by 14 points. I'm going to take Georgia in the game. I think Georgia Tech, they've just played their opponents too close. And it's the lack of consistency that's going to hurt them. Defense didn't look great last week either versus Mason High School and Pitt. Gunnar Stockton likes to pick apart, good defenses. What he'll do against Georgia Tech. Because, he played well. I guess when you think about it, he doesn't really... No, well... I guess he does kind of struggle against bad defenses, but I do think Georgia will win the game. So, and it's all a matter of can Georgia Tech keep up with the Dogs. I don't think they can, though. Then you have the Lone Star Showdown. Now, the Georgia Tech, they play at 3:30 on ABC in Atlanta. The Lone Star Showdown between Texas A&M and Texas, 7:30 ABC. In Austin. A&M is 3-point favorites to the third-ranked team in the country. This is 120. Texas is ranked 16th in the latest college football playoff rankings. This is the 121st meeting. You're going to be hearing that a lot. Texas leads the all-time series, 77, 37, and 5. Texas has won the last two. Funny story, these two teams, before they played last year, hadn't met since 2011. They brought the rivalry back with Texas going back to the SEC. With Texas moving to the SEC last season, first year that they reinstitute the rivalry game. First time it's in Austin in a minute. I give this game to Texas. Look, it's nothing against A&M. I like A&M, but I don't. And the other thing is, I don't think they're looking ahead this week. I don't think they're going to be looking ahead to the SEC championship game, who they have to face, probably Georgia. If they lose, I think it's probably going to still be Texas A&M in the SEC championship game. And if you go, you probably don't want to face Georgia after they face Georgia Tech in Atlanta. It'll be kind of a home game for the Dogs. You don't want to face Georgia. I will say that. But getting back to this game, I think Texas A&M is untested. They had a close game against Arkansas. The real test this year came at Notre Dame, which was early on in the season. You think about it, you go LSU, they were kind of dead in the water, and the closest game they've played was with Arkansas, who only has 2 wins on the season. So I think Texas will win. I think Arch is going to play even better after his 4-touchdown game last week. And so Texas, I give them the 3-game winning streak over the Aggies from A&M. Now, Saturday, this is where things get interesting. The greatest rivalry in college sports. The game between the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines and the favorite by 10 points, the number 1 team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. The 21st meeting all time between U of M and OSU. Michigan leads the all-time series with 62 wins, with 51 losses and 6 ties, and Michigan has won the last 4 seasons. Ohio State has not beaten Michigan since they have not beaten Michigan since before COVID. 2019. You know who was the quarterback on the Buckeyes in 2019? Justin Fields. And that was a great Ohio State team. Now you're going to, and this is the thing, it's Michigan. They were hot last week. They played really good football. And Ohio State, we talked about how Jeremiah Smith, Cardinal take game time decisions. It doesn't matter if they play or not. Give me Michigan. Michigan, it doesn't matter. They've got the hot streak, Sharon Moore. And the other thing I think is just a huge factor in this game. Weather. It's supposed to snow Saturday. But this is just a big game for Ohio State. And I don't see them with the struggles they've had in the first half and the dominant Michigan defense that resides. Granted, they played Maryland last week, who can make some big plays down the field, but overall not an offense that is fantastic. Overall, Michigan, that defense, and I think Bryce Underwood and the Michigan offense got hot last week. I think they continue the win streak. 5 in a row in the game. Now, next game I'm going to predict, not a rivalry game. Miami, Pitt. Miami, favored by 7, taking Pitt. Miami I taking Pitt. Reason why I go with the Panthers is they're on fire. The Notre Dame loss kind of set them off, and they have a chance to make it into the conference championship game. Just win, basically. It would help to have SMU lose to Cal. How unlikely that is. But they just win. I think they make the Pac-12 or ACC championship game. And as long as Virginia doesn't win the conference, I'm happy. Be a pretty happy camper. All right. Now, when I did my research for this game, I didn't find a definite name. Right? Vandy, Tennessee. There's no name for this rivalry. It's just the Vanderbilt versus Tennessee rivalry. It'll be the 120th meeting in Knoxville this Saturday. Tennessee leads the all-time series, 79 wins, 32 losses, and 5 ties. Tennessee's won the last 6 versus Vanderbilt, and they're favored by 4. But guess what? Diego Pavia playing good football. Tennessee, they've lost to just about every ranked team they've played this year. And the other thing I think Vandy, they're just dominant. They run the ball well. But you look at the past, right? The games they lost. Okay, they lost to, I'm blanking. They lost to Georgia. They lost to Bama. They lost to, oh my God. I can't believe I'm blanking. I believe it was another conference game. Let me think. Oklahoma. Yeah. And in all those games, Tennessee's defense is what lost them the game. Plus, I just don't trust that offense. It's not that they're inconsistent, but in big games like this, they really struggle against good defenses like the one Vandy's packing. Give me the underdogs once again. Now, I looked this up, right? Because I was doing my research, like I said, and there are 2 names for Oregon versus Washington, which is a rivalry game that's going on Saturday, 3:30. It's called the Border War, believe it or not. And that is also reserved for Missouri versus Kansas. So when I looked up the Border War, it took me to Kansas, Missouri. Not using that. The more accurate name I'm going to use, the Cascade Clash. I doubt many people use that term, but it's called the Cascade Clash. For people from Oregon, people from Washington gave that name. I don't know why. But these 2 teams meet for the 118th time this Saturday. And interesting, UW leads the series with 63 wins, 49 losses, and 5 ties. Washington won 3 out of the last 4 meetings with Oregon. Granted, this will be that was with Michael Penix, and the one of the times they played was in the Pac-12 championship game, the final Pac-12 championship game for Oregon and Washington. But Oregon 7-point favorites. I can't see Washington with an upset. I would love for Washington to upset Oregon. I just can't see it. There's no possibility. That defense is too good. And honestly, if they can find a way to catch them slipping, I think they will. I just don't see it this week. Give me Oregon. They're coming off the USC win. Looking at this rivalry game, it's a huge game. Both sides are really competitive, play good football. But at the end of the day, it really, for me at least, it really comes down to does Washington can they realistically score more than 20 points? No. And it's different with USC because USC's offense is really good. Washington, they've been bumpy. The loss to Wisconsin doesn't help. So I'm going to take Oregon in that game. And then we get to the NFL. And this is going to be interesting. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, so Packers Lions, right? Don't get me wrong. I love the Lions regular jerseys. I love their regular jerseys. I love the traditional, what is it? Black. I love the traditional all Honolulu blue. I love the all blacks. But the classic jerseys. The classic jerseys are by far my favorite Lions jerseys. I like the black. I like the all blue. I like the whites. The classic jerseys are my favorite, especially since the rebrand in 2017. They've come out with a new shade of blue. They just look so much better. So much better. That being said, Lions, Packers, Lions favored by 3. So this is actually a game time decision. Initially, when I wrote this or made the script, I decided I was going to pick the Packers, but I don't know. Is Josh Jacobs playing this week? I had to look that up. Packers are just so. I picked it because the Lions every year they lose on Thanksgiving. Oh, Josh Jacobs is inactive. That was last week. He might come back. Limited in practice. So, I look at this game and it's so tight because the Lions had a close game versus the Giants last week, and the defense really struggled while the Packers played a good football game and they won. And Josh Jacobs is coming back, but that's not what hurt the Lions. It was the passing game of Green Bay, and that's been rocky sometimes. So you know what? I'm switching her up. I'm going Lions. I'm sorry, Detroit. I wanted to pick against you. I just couldn't, all right? The Packers passing game has been rough all season, and the Lions are favored by 3. Defense has played bad last week, but I think they could get away with it this week. Give me the Lions. Now, Chiefs-Cowboys. Okay? Chiefs heading into this game 5-5, 6-5, and the Cowboys heading into this game 5-1. Dallas had the miraculous comeback last week. They're going to be wearing their throwback jerseys, the ones they wore last year. And I think, the Tony Romo old classic jerseys, if you know, you know, but the ones they wore last year against the Giants, they'll be wearing their throwback jerseys. But I am going to take the Chiefs. I just think with Kansas City, every game is a playoff game for them. And in the playoffs, when Kansas City plays good, they play good. So, plus they got their first win in a one-score game last week. I think it carries over. The success they had last week carries over to this week. Pacheco's coming back. High hopes, good vibes for Kansas City. I think they beat Dallas on Thursday. And then next, you got Cincinnati going to Baltimore. Give me Baltimore. Baltimore's hot right now. And it's still Joe Flacco. Maybe it was Joe Burrow. Maybe I think it'd be a little closer. Maybe give Cincinnati a shot. But I don't think, since Burrow's not playing, it doesn't make sense to play him at all anymore. But Burrow's not playing. And, Baltimore's hot right now. Hard to beat a team that knows what they have to do and can win on a consistent basis. Next, Bears-Eagles. This is the Black Friday game for the NFL. 3 o'clock on Amazon. I feel like I should just make that known. Bears are really good right now. The Eagles are also really good right now. I'm going to take the Eagles. Now, I don't know. It would be a missed opportunity if the Eagles didn't wear their all blacks, which I believe they are, but missed opportunity if they don't. Against the Bears, who I think this is the beginning of the end for the Bears. We've talked about, Chicago, they've got this tough stretch of games, but they kept winning, and they keep doing it on a consistent basis. I'm going to go with Philly here. Give the Lions a shot at first place. I think if they lose, and the Lions win, they would have first place in the division. So, Bills, Steelers. Bills are favored by 4 against Pittsburgh. Give me Buffalo. There are rumors circling that Aaron Rodgers could return. I just think the wrist thing is too much. If he does play, it'll be Mason. If he does play, the wrist thing will be too much of a distraction. And if he doesn't play, it's Mason Rudolph, which still gives you a shot against the Bears or against the Bills defense. But I just don't think it makes sense. So I'm taking the what's it called? Now, Giants, Patriots. This is the Monday night game, and I picked this game just so I could pick a game on every day this week. So it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Give me the Patriots. Giants offense looked good last week, but the Patriots defense is better. Plus, Jackson Dart's coming back. Now, if the Giants win this game in New England, that's an Eli Manning versus Tom Brady moment. Now, I'm sure this will be the first of many meetings between Jackson Dart and Drake May, and I hope Monday night is a banger. All right, that's it. That's all I have for the predictions. I enjoy making this show. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in to the next episode of The Jackson Show, and as always, bring a friend.